What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where AA Alex and AJ host the Mid-American Conference Best.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the CSC podcast. We are here at the Fox Theater, not the Ford Theater. No presidential stuff happening today. But we are at the Fox Theater here in the Motor City. I'm here joined by head man of the Northern Illinois Huskies, Thomas Hammock. This is our third year doing this. You're not sick of us yet.
No, I'm not. And I appreciate all the gifts. I still would have had from.
Yeah?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? That's awesome.
Good touch.
Hey, you know, we like I said in the pre-show, we like to try to make it memorable and show our love and appreciation for all you guys do as the coaches in this league. Let's dive into it, right? So last year, not the season I think we wanted after the MAC championship. 3-9, a lot of injuries. That seemed to be the tale of Northern Illinois football last year. And even with those injuries, a lot of those losses, 5 of them were by 10 points or less. Mm-hmm. That's actually got to be encouraging. You know, I know there's no moral victories in football, but to me, that's encouraging if I'm a fan, if I'm a coach. Like, hey, we threw in guys, like, sure, we didn't get it done, but that's experience. That's opportunities that they got. You know, kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, no, a lot of guys had a chance to get opportunities to play last season. I think it was important for those guys. And then, you know, what you realize is going through spring ball, there were a lot of guys in spring ball that played in actual games,
yeah.
and normally that's not the case. Normally you're trying to help guys develop and get closer to playing, but what we saw this past spring is the depth, the quality of depth, where now you have a 2 deep where, you know, you got 6, 7 D linemen that's been starters. You got 7, 8 offensive linemen that started games. You got multiple wide receivers. So the depth and experience is something that I think we can rely on this season if there were an injury or two. Hopefully not as many as we had last season, but we can overcome some of those things.
So you're talking about how important that depth is. I mean, you guys, I think, got down to, what, a 4th-string quarterback, a freshman walk-on, if I remember correctly, right?
We did.
That's rough. I mean, you know, it's particular. Was he the one that had those picks in that Toledo game?
No, our backup quarterback actually had the picks, and then he broke his wrist.
That's right, yeah.
In that game. So, you know, the quarterback is one that is an important position in this league. And if you can keep your quarterback healthy, you're going to have a chance to be successful. And so we feel like we got some quarterbacks that's got more game reps and more game experience.
Sure.
They've been able to pull from those experiences in practice.
Yeah.
And you've seen the development. Quarterback is a hard position to play, and it takes time. And I think sometimes you have to go through failures in order to be able to move forward in your career to become the type of player you want to become.
Sure. Talking about the quarterback position, you got Rocky Lombardi back. I think this is his 7th year playing college ball, you know, the time at Michigan State, of course, and then the COVID year and then the injuries. How's he looking? How's he feeling?
Yeah, you know, I think he really turned the corner about a month ago. You saw him get back to who he is as a player, meaning that he can be able to throw the ball, obviously, as we know, but also have the ability to run. And I think, you know, he's turned the corner from an athletic standpoint where he's comfortable, he's confident. He's ready to go. They said he ran a pro shuttle this morning and ran 4.3 pro shuttle, which is good for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And you know, I think he's got that bounce in his step.
Sure.
Because he wanted to obviously have a great year last year, and he was on his way. And then obviously the injury happened, so he wants to go out on top.
Yeah, no, it's and then obviously you guys won the title a couple years ago with Rocky at the helm. You know, kind of talk about the excitement in the coach's office. You've got the whole O-line coming back. Not many teams do, you know, especially in this league, in a league where you talk about quarterback being so critical. Offensive line, I think, is just as, if not more critical, especially in the league like the MAC. How excited are you guys to have that whole team, that whole O-line back, as well as you're getting your star quarterback?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, for us, we built our team inside out. And we feel like we're really strong on the D-line. We feel like we're equally strong on the offensive line. And I think having that strength and the type of conditions that we play in, a run game will travel. And if you can protect your quarterback, you give him time to distribute the ball. We feel like those guys have great continuity, a lot of experience coming back. We're going to have a hard time to figure out who are the 5 starters because we actually got 6 guys that started multiple years in their career. So there's a lot of competition amongst that group.
Sure. And, we're talking about, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about you've got some great defensive players coming back too, particularly talking about a returning starter, Devin Lafayette. How's that linebacker room looking? How's his leadership kind of developed being the returning linebacker, if you will?
Yeah, no, I think Devin coming back, obviously he's a couple years removed from the injury against Georgia Tech, and he's gotten stronger every season, and he's a lot stronger than he was last year at this time. So we feel like we got some quality guys that can go out there and compete at a high level with Jaden Dolphin being another guy, Tyler Jackson being another guy in the linebacker room that gives us quality depth. But we feel like we got a great D-line in front of them that's going to keep, offensive linemen off of those guys so those guys can run around and make plays.
Okay. And then you've got the defensive line as well. You're, Devontae O'Malley, James Esther, Rasheem Thomas. I don't want to butcher that. All guys who have made impactful plays over the last couple of years. Now with that youth and that experience coming in at linebacker, but still youth, how important is it going to be for the defensive line to really play anchor?
No, it's going to be extremely important. And for us, during the COVID year, all those guys were true freshmen, and we threw those guys out there. And now it's starting to pay dividends because now they've gotten bigger, they've gotten stronger, they have a lot more experience. Now they're starting to ask the right type of questions of making themselves an elite football player in this league.
So let's talk about your go back to the offense real quick. I know I'm a little bit back and forth here. Antonio Brown ran for 689, 7 scores. You got Justin Lynch, who everybody knows that name. That's a big name in Northern Illinois history. Is it true he made the switch from quarterback to running back?
Yes.
That happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a decision purely on him. He came to my office and said he wanted to switch and play running back, and he felt like he can be the type of player that we had a couple years ago in Clint Rakovich.
Yeah.
And so we said, that sounds like an excellent idea, and let's make the switch.
Man, yeah, that's a little bit of a throwback name right there. Clint had a great career in Northern Illinois.
Yes, he did.
And then you got a big transfer from Iowa, Gavin Williams, joining the roster. How big is that with bringing experience from a Power 5 program? How big is that going to be for the team?
No, it's good. I mean, from a competition standpoint, from a depth standpoint, we feel like Antonio Brown can be as good as he wants to be, and he's going to have an opportunity to do that. But Gavin also gives us a guy that we feel like we can lean on. He could be an 800 to 1,000-yard rusher behind our line. And we also got another kid, Kendrell Flowers from South Carolina State, who was a Wake Forest bounce back. He's come in and done a nice job. So we feel like in the backfield we got some guys that can carry the load if need be. And that's why I talked to our team. If we able to get in position to have a lead, we have a running game that can dwindle the clock a little bit, because as we know, this is a one-possession league, and you have to be masters at winning one-possession games. We
had a conversation with Joe Moorhead earlier, and talked about his team, and he mentioned the same thing about it being we lost a bunch of games by one score. The goal is to flip the script this year and win those games, ideally by more than one score, but to win those games that are one score in such a competitive league with so many talented players. In particular, the West. The West, just for the last decade and a half, just seems to be top to bottom the division. Northern Illinois had their run. Toledo's on a nice little run with their recent championship. Ball State just a couple years ago. What's with being in the MAC, and particularly in the MAC West, where do you guys think you guys stack up this coming year? Just looking at things. I mean, I saw the coaches poll. I saw that, but I want to get your opinion. Where do you guys really think you're at for this season?
Yeah, I think the big thing is if we can keep our full roster healthy, we feel like every week is going to be a battle, and we feel like we're right in the mix. I mean, Toledo has a great team. We had 4 interceptions in that game, and that obviously, skewed the outcome.
Sure.
Eastern Michigan, we played well last year. Central Michigan plays well. Western, new staff. We'll see how they do. And then Ball State is always a tough football game. So
that rivalry for that bronze stock, man.
Yeah. So the big thing about the West is obviously you got to build your team to beat the opponents in your team.
Sure.
And so we understand what that looks like, and I think that's why the league is so competitive.
Cool. Coach, any kind of final words, any thoughts you want to share with the listeners at home on Northern Illinois?
Well, obviously this is a talking season, but, our focus is putting the work in as a team, and I couldn't be more proud of our team, the work they put in, and I think our fans will be extremely excited this season.
Awesome. Coach, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. That was Coach Thomas Hammock of the Northern Illinois University Huskies. Looking forward to coming out, hanging out with you guys this year, and good luck this year, Coach.
Thank you. Go Huskies.
Thank you. All right, everybody, welcome back to the CSC podcast, all MACtion all the time. We are here at the 2023 MAC Media Day. Alex, the captain, bringing you interviews, pictures, everything from all over the day here at the Fox Theater in the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. I'm joined today by the head man, Joe Moorhead of Akron football. Coach, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be here. Good morning.
It's a beautiful venue, right? I mean, this is it's a historic theater, of course, but I mean, what a great way to kind of welcome football season back to the Motor City.
Yeah, it's you mentioned great venue. Awesome to see all the coaches and the player representatives, and exciting way to kick off the MAC season.
So let's just dive right in. Second year with the program, obviously a lot of expectations. I think even if not externally, I think there's a lot of expectations internally to really elevate the program this year. You guys had a lot of really close one-score losses last year. What's the focus this year on how to kind of flip that script to make those one-score, two-score wins this year?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we inherited the by any objective measure the worst team in Division I football. They had won 3 total games in 3 years, and I think the average score in MAC games in 21 was like 42-17. So we certainly turned a program that was non-competitive into being competitive. 2 wins, and as you mentioned, our 5 league losses were about 1, 3, 6, 6, and 7. And looking to continue the progress to turning those close losses into wins, and the big primary focus of our offseason has been finished. We got to that point in the fourth quarter, and I think a lot of guys were unaccustomed to the pressure or consequence of making a play when it needed to be made, and like I said, we're focused on finish this offseason. Sure,
and you've got some incredible playmakers coming back. DJ Irons is a quarterback. You got Alex Adams, the receiver. But a very notable loss on defense. You've got Bubba, who that's a huge anchor on defense that's going to be missing. Who's looked like they could really step into that role this year. And it's hard to replace a guy like Bubba, of course, but who looks like they could, kind of take that next step and bring that leadership to kind of help supplant the defense.
Yeah, anytime you have a guy that's been in college for 10 years and been an all-league player with a tremendously high level of production and leadership and all those things, I don't know that you necessarily replace them, but you kind of got to do it by committee almost. And I think at all 3 different levels of the defense, we have guys who have played a lot of football. Some new guys who have come in via the portal or junior college who have experience at the collegiate level, and we're just going to have to find a way to replace it.
Sure. You mentioned the transfer portal. You guys took a pretty big dive into that this year. It looks like you guys brought in a lot of big transfers, especially guys like Joey Hunter from South Carolina, the former running back at Florida, Lorenzo Lingard, and then Shaman Cooper from Illinois. What are you expecting from them with their leadership? These are guys who all have experience at high-level Division I programs.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, those are guys that have come from Power 5 programs and have experience, and a majority of them are winning programs. Taj Bullock from Virginia Tech, and as you mentioned, just going on down the line with Lorenzo, Drake Anderson. You're just going to lean on those guys because they bring in a certain level of credibility from their experience. They've done a great job kind of integrating with the team in terms of chemistry and those things that are difficult to get done in a quick fashion.
Sure.
You know, just because of the constant flux and turnover on the roster. But I think you know, those guys are going to play a huge role in our season.
Let's just kind of run back to those losses. You know, I hate to talk about them.
Do we have to?
Hate to talk about them, but I mean, you know, you specifically mentioned, you know, the low score differential there. The Kent State one, I was at that game, and I was actually at the CMU game, so I don't know if it's me that's bringing you bad luck. It could be. I'll stay away this year. So I was at both of those games, and the thing that I think a lot of people were encouraged by was the fact that this was a team that was competing.
Right.
It wasn't a team that was just giving up in the first quarter,
right.
and I think we've seen that a lot in the past. What's kind of the focus this year in terms of how you guys are preparing for that? What are you guys doing extra this off season, this upcoming camp in the spring, to make that fourth quarter not seem like a fourth quarter?
Right. Yeah, and it certainly, you know, we don't believe in moral victories, but to a certain extent, you're looking for any tangible measure of progress, you know, that's objective rather than subjective. And you know, you find a different way to kind of lose a game there in the fourth quarter. But I think the critical factors that have been our focus this offseason, we're talking about, you know, positive body language and great energy, incredible attention to detail, the ability to compete, mental and physical toughness, and then lastly, and most importantly, our finish. And those are the 5 things every single day we ask our guys to run a checklist. You know, how do we do, you know, addressing these factors and improving on them. And I think our guys are really, and I know it's cliche and every coach in the country says it, but you know, have really bought into the culture that we're looking to instill here.
Sure.
To help us be a successful program.
Well, and I think that you talk about the culture being such an important aspect, because you know, there are so many teams that they're so built on their identity, right? You know, I think even a couple of schools here, like Eastern Michigan, they do the stack 'em. You know, so I think it's really cool when programs have like that theme. Do you guys have a particular theme, like, or anything? I think I've seen one Akron is that one of the hashtags. I've seen a couple of different things. I didn't know if you guys had a particular theme the team's kind of rallied around.
Yeah, the one thing that we're continuing to discuss, and we've mentioned a bunch of times, is the finish, and then something that we've, you know, utilized at different places over my career is the 212 degree theme.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
The extra degree where at 211 you can't, you know, boil a pot of water, but
Sure.
at 212 degrees you can power a locomotive. So all those little small things that maybe, you know, we weren't successful in you know, executing last year, you know, that just a little bit extra could push us over the edge.
Cool. You talked about being on staff in the pre-show, in the pre-interview here, being on staff at Akron. Back when there's some monsters of men playing. You know, Luke Getze. You had was Charlie Fry playing when you were there?
The first year, yeah.
The first year. Okay, so what's it like now being back as the head man versus, you know, an assistant on the staff? Or, you know, what's that difference and what's the same?
Yeah, I mean, you go back Charlie Fry, Luke Getze, Dominic Hickson, Chase Blackburn, Dennis. I mean, we had a bunch of really good players.
Some great talent.
Sean Lemon, and I don't think that Coach Brookhart receives the kind of respect that he deserves for the job that he did here during his time leading Akron to its only conference championship. But you know, as an assistant, your responsibility is coaching your position. If you're a coordinator, coordinating the offense, recruiting your area, and you're responsible for only a small group of kids, and then you become the head coach, and then you're responsible for everybody. So
a few more people, right?
Yeah, they say the wind blows hardest at the top.
That's no, and that's cool. You know, so what's have you talked to any of those guys about coming back, talking to the team, doing anything like that?
Yeah, we've had a good number of guys come back. You know, talk to Luke, or I should say, we say talk these days. It's probably more texting,
you know, right?
You know, coordinate with the Bears, and you know, Dominic Hickson's a guy I keep in touch with. But those guys from that area, that 04 to 08 era, during my time there, you know, a bunch of guys came back from the spring game, but just really excited about somebody who's demonstrated a high level of success as a collegiate coach who made a conscious decision to help build this program. So I think that's what they're most fired up about.
Yeah, one thing that you're looking forward to for this season. You know, you guys got a pretty decent non-conference schedule this year. Really looking forward to seeing some of those games. Do you have a team on there that you guys kind of are really excited to play in that non-conference?
Well, it couldn't have been more difficult than last year. Michigan State, Tennessee, and Liberty. So that was a nice welcoming to the
welcome back, right?
Nice welcome back there. But yeah, I think you're always most excited about the first one.
Sure.
And certainly Temple's going to be a challenging game, and I've had an opportunity to play them over the years at different schools and know that's
at Temple this year, isn't it?
Yeah. Neat venue, and coach has done a very good job. They were playing their best ball at the end of the year, so I think of the four, I would say that one because it's the next one, and our first opportunities as a team for the 23 season to be together after all the the work we've done in the off season and in the fall camp to put our product on the field.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to coming out, watching you guys play at InfoCision this year. It's going to be a good year. Really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.